inspection that they were under the age of 21. Is that correct?
That is true, yes.
And they had been instructed or trained by the police department in going in and requesting to purchase alcoholic beverages. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so what did the undercover agent do?
The undercover agent went into the restaurant. He sat at the bar. He ordered an alcohol beverage. It was provided to him. We gave him control money to use to pay for the tab. He paid for the tab. He got some change. After consummating the deal, he walks out of the restaurant where he informs the two undercover police officers what transpired. They then call me, and then myself and Officer Colburn go in, and we confront the server who served it, and we notified management.
All right, and so you identified yourself, and you told the server that they had sold to an undercover person and issued them a citation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. I don't have any further questions for Major Defense. If you want to question Major Defense about what happened that night, you're welcome to do so. All right, so let's have any questions from the License and Variance Board for Major Lewis Defense.
Mr. Defense, what was the conditions of the restaurant that night?
I can't hear you.
The conditions of the restaurant, was it crowded, was it not crowded?
It was a pretty decent crowd that was at the restaurant.
Was the bar area real crowded, not just the actual restaurant?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
According to the undercover agent who actually interacted with the server, was the undercover agent ever asked to produce any kind of identification?
From what I recall, I do not believe so.
Thank you.
Major Defense, how often does your team conduct these type of operations?
We conduct them several times a year. Because of COVID and COVID restrictions, we hadn't in the past couple of years, but throughout my career with the city of Smyrna, we actually do this quite frequently throughout the year.
Routine operation?
Yes.
Nothing about this that wouldn't have been routine? Nothing about this particular case that would not have been routine?
That's correct.
I don't have any questions.
All right. Thank you, Major Defense.
Thank you.
All right, sir, if you will step up to the microphone, please. And you've probably noticed it's a little bit echoey in here, so if there's anything that you can't understand that I say or any of the board members say or anyone says, please just ask us to clarify it. We're still working out the kinks here in City Hall from our new mayor and council room. Would you state, because I don't know you, would you state your name, please?
First name Jason, last name Cunningham.
Could you spell your first name, please?
J-A''SAAN.
And what is your position with Chin Group or Juicy Crab?
I'm the general manager of the Smyrna location.
You're the general manager of that location?
Yes, sir.
All right, so how long have you been employed as the general manager at that location?
As the general manager, I've been employed since January, but I've been working there since 2019.
So January of this year?
Yes.
So you were the general manager of record, I guess you would say, when this incident occurred. Is that right?
I just took it over, yes.
Okay, all right. I know that you had an opportunity to question Major Defense and didn't have any questions for him. Is there anything about are there any facts that you would like to just state for the board about this incident or what was going on that night or what happened?
I believe it was a Friday night and we were pretty busy. I was actually on the line when the police officers came and got me. The line is actually like the fry side cooking. Because we got so busy, I went back there to go help them. And then, I got met by two police officers saying that my bartender served underage kid. So I went out front and handled that situation with them. And then I sent her home for the day and suspended her.
The server's name is Alana Fair, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And to your, based on your knowledge, she was issued a citation and has now had her court appearance, I think it was the
Last month, the
29th of August. I think
I think
that's
it was
right.
23rd of August.
Oh, but it was last month, so she's already had it.
Yes, I stayed in contact with her. I did let her go as a result. But yeah, I stayed in contact with her. She let me know what was going on, and I actually recently talked to her. She said she paid her citation off.
She pleaded guilty to the accusation of selling to an underage minor. Is that right?
I'm not sure what she
You're not-
pleaded. She just said that she handled it and she paid it.
But that she's paid a fine.
She paid a fine. Yes.
The fine was $1,000.
I'm not sure how
Okay.
much it was.
All right. All right. I don't have any more questions for Mr. Cunningham. We'll take questions from the board. Wait. Step back up, because the License and Variance Board is the one really considering this case.
Sir, what was the staffing like on that Friday night? Were y'all short-staffed? Did you meet staff requirements?
As far as the front of the house, we had enough servers, but it was so busy in the back, we had to pull a couple people to, dishwash and go on the fry side.
Can you speak to the typical training that you would conduct with your servers as it relates to alcohol service? What does Juicy Crab typically do to train their employees to
Yes,
understand?
actually, pretty much every quarter, our HR sends us a training on alcohol and beverage. Every employee has to complete it. Every manager has to complete it and send it back to corporate. If you don't complete it, they, start sending emails, and you eventually get pulled off the schedule until you complete those requirements.
And how long had this particular server been employed, and had she been through any of those ongoing training?
Yes, she actually has been through one, but with the last general manager, he wasn't up to standards with a lot of things. So then he got let go, and I took over. And since then, I've been putting everything back into regulations as far as, keeping everybody with compliance and with their trainings, with everything.
And what steps have you all taken from a management standpoint to ensure this type of occurrence doesn't happen again?
Every month we get a secret shop now. So every month our secret shop basically tries, or either orders an alcohol beverage or tries to, and we get scored off of that every month. And they send it back to us to see what our server has done.
And the status of this employee, is she still employed with the restaurant, or?
No, sir, she is not.
Okay.
Did you notice any different state of mind with the person that night? Anything personally was going on that you were aware of that may have, kind of threw her off on the situation?
As far as her, she sometimes get a little frustrated, and she starts deviating from the plan. But I did not hire her, so I couldn't just come back and just fire her based off of previous experiences of what she has done. So eventually, I conducted my own investigation with her and see how she works and how does she handle the floor when it gets really busy. I started cutting down her schedule, and eventually, she works Friday night, so then she, still sold underage person. I suspended her, conducted it, talked to her, and then I eventually just let her go from there.
Do you guys have any additional questions? I don't have any questions either. Mr. Tucker?
I don't have any more questions for you, so you can have a seat if you
Thank
like.
you.
So at this time, with no more questions for the board or for the anyone in the process, we will need to go into an executive session for us to deliberate and discuss. Are we asking them to leave, or are we going out? Okay. So we will leave in a moment, just to let you guys know where we disappear to. Can I get a motion to go into an executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded, and we will go into an executive session. Thank you for your patience. Members of the board, can I get a motion to go back out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded, and we'll go back into regular session. The board has had an opportunity to confer, and I will entertain a motion.
On the matter of 2023-190 show cause hearing alcohol beverage violation on the Chen Group Incorporated DBA The Juicy Crab at 2524 Cobb Parkway, I make the motion that a one-year probation is instituted on the establishment beginning effectively today.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would, please vote. We are working with the new computer system too, so if there's a hesitation, we're hoping everything comes up on the screen. Can you hit move?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This item has been approved by a vote of 3-0. Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, Ms. Macheri, I'll step outside with the Juicy Crab folks and just explain to them what has happened and what this involves for them, okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, we are going to move on to item 4B. This is a privilege license agent change request, LIC 2023-010. This is for beer, wine, and liquor retail pouring at 730 Concord Road Southeast. Red Pierce Enterprises, LLC, does business as Timbers Tavern with Paula Connor as agent. Do we have any background for this? Any background for this one? Nothing? Okay. If you would like to come on forward. State your name and address for the record.
Paula Connor.
It is a weird sound in here. Don't worry about it. Thank you for being here. So we have an item before us, which is a license change. When these items come before us, obviously you've actually just sat through a hearing, and you understand that there's some obligations that come with being an agent of this type. Have you served as an agent before?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay. So, and you've gone through the required training. I don't have that with me, but
I went through the ServSafe that the city requires. I've been through E-tips training and fingerprinting, pour permit. This is my last stop.
wonderful. Do you guys have any questions for?
Well, obviously, you've just witnessed a show cause hearing, what can be the negative result of improperly serving. Hopefully that emphasizes the seriousness that the city takes on this matter. And just for you to verify that you're clear and that you understand the seriousness of this position and the importance that we place on the alcohol regulations that have been established by the state and by the city.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool to witness that before me.
Also, just, as should we approve the agent change today, just know that there will be an opportunity, as you've seen, for officers to come in and do that, because we do think this is a privilege to do that in the city. With that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve privilege license agent change request, beer, wine, and liquor retail pouring located at 730 Concord Road, Southeast, Red Pierce Enterprises, LLC, Timbers Tavern with Paula Connor as agent.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would please vote. Okay. This item has passed by a vote of 3-0. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, where do I go now?
That's it.
That's it. You're all done.
Just wait? Okay.
Or you would actually leave. You're
I can
good.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
I studied really hard for all these questions.
Good. It's very good. Thank you for being here. Okay, so our next item on the agenda today is item 4C, 2023-060. This is a public hearing and variance request to be 2306. Is it 0? sorry, I had it typed wrong. 6-0 to reduce the southern setback from 12 feet to 10.4 feet at land lot 525 at 3419 King Springs Road with Chris Broughton as the applicant. Ms. Crow, if you would please provide us the background.
Good morning, Caitlin Crow, Planner 1 Community Development. So this variance is V23-060 to reduce that southern side setback from 12 feet to 10.4 feet. So this property is a very large lot. It's over an acre on the east side of King Springs Road, right there at the intersection of King Springs and Oakview Drive. So the subject property is currently occupied by a single-family home and a detached garage and shed in the rear of the property. The existing home was built back in 1954, which was previous to the adoption of the current city zoning ordinance. They do have an existing non-conforming side setback on the south side of the home, which is at 10.4 feet. The applicant is planning to fully renovate the the existing home and add a garage in the front, enclose the existing carport, and add a covered deck in the rear. Because of the existing non-conforming setback, the applicant is looking to extend that condition in order to build both the covered porch and the new garage. The existing non-conforming location really merits the most logical area to be within that non-conforming setback. That way there is not an offset that's required or having to move the existing foundation. Since the home is currently non-conforming, staff does feel that the hardship is not self-created. Additionally, the existing home is 1,417 square feet, whereas the minimum house size in the R20 zoning district is 2,100. With the renovations, the home will be roughly 3,500 square feet, bringing it in line with the code requirements for the R20 floor area. So after reviewing the application, staff does support the request and recommends approval with the standard stipulation. Approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, do you have any questions for staff? Mr. Garland.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If the applicant is here, if you just come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Christopher Broughton.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. Ms. Crow has provided us a summary of the variances before the board today. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that? Okay. Should the board approve this today, there was a standard stipulation that Ms. Crow discussed. I just want to make sure you're aware of that and you're comfortable moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Members of the board, do you guys have any questions for the applicant? Okay. With that, this item is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor or against, if you would come forward and speak your name and address for the record. Let the record reflect there's no one here to speak in favor or against. With that, we'll close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve V23-060, variance request, reduce southern setback from 12 feet to 10.4 feet on land lot 525 at 3419 King Springs Road. Chris Broughton, applicant.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would please vote. Thank you. This item has been approved by a vote of 3-0. Enjoy and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, we have two, we're going to read through some additional items. We don't have any business to take on them other than to accept their tabling and withdrawn, so I'm just going to read through them, and we'll vote accordingly. Item 4D, V23-061, public hearing and variance request to allow gravel parking, land lot 346, 2433 Ventura Place, Kyle Crump. As mentioned, this item has been tabled until September 27th. Can I get a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
This item has been moved and seconded. If you would please vote. Thank you. Item 4E is V23-062. This is a public hearing and variance request to allow shipping containers to be used as accessory structures, land lot 346, 2433 Ventura Place. Kyle Crump is the applicant. Again, this item, similarly to the previous one, will be moved to September 27th. Can I get a motion to table to the 27th?
So moved.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would, please vote. Wonderful. This is tabled 3-0. Item 4F, V23-063 is a public hearing and variance request to allow second accessory structure on land lot 561, 1480 Roswell Street, applicant Hunter Gilliam. This variance request is to be withdrawn at the request of the applicant. If I could get a motion to accept the withdrawal.
So moved.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would, please vote. Thank you. We've accepted this withdrawal by a vote of 3-0. Item 4G, V23-064, this is a public hearing and variance request to allow accessory structure size above 25% of the primary building, land lot 561, 1480 Roswell Street. Hunter Gilliam is the applicant. Again, this variance request is to be withdrawn at the request of the applicant. Can I get a motion to approve the withdrawal?
So moved.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would, please vote. Item 4H, V23-065, public hearing and variance request to increase the accessory structure height from 15 feet to 16 feet, land lot 561, 1480 Roswell Street, Hunter Gilliam as applicant. This variance request is to be withdrawn at the request of the applicant. If I could get a motion to approve this request to withdraw.
So moved.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would please vote. Item is also withdrawn at a vote of 3-0. We'll move on to our last item on the agenda, which is item 5A, approval of minutes, MIN 2023-087, approval of the August 23rd, 2023 License and Variance Board meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
This item has been properly moved and seconded. If you would please vote. The minutes have been approved by a vote of 3-0, and unless there's any additional business to be brought before this body, we will consider ourselves adjourned at 10:27.